Rove, and this one is a cooperative strategy adventure game in a world rich with biodiversity. And this is going to be taking you on a grand adventure through an overarching campaign that's going to involve things like character development and leveling up, as well as a branching storyline that you're going to be experiencing through a series of encounters. These encounters are going to be taking you through a wide variety of different landscapes and environments, but each of them are going to be working very similar to each other, where you are going up against all sorts of different enemies and potentially bosses, and players are going to have to work together in order to fight back against the evil in the land. In order to do all this, players are going to have a bunch of different options at their disposal because each of the characters will have their own class strengths and weaknesses, as well as their own special abilities that players will be able to take advantage of. But players will also have a whole bunch of different ability cards that do have multiple uses on those cards. And these are going to be in two different categories. There's going to be your A class abilities and your B class abilities. And you always get to use one of each anytime that you play these ability cards. But for each of them, you can only choose one of the two options on those cards. Of course, depending on the character that you're playing as, there might be a certain theme to these cards as you're playing throughout the game, but you're also going to have opportunities to gain new cards and swap these out for other upgraded versions. You'll always be playing two of these cards on your turn, but you're not only limited to those cards because players also have their skill cards that you pretty much have free reign over as long as you meet the requirements to play them. And they're going to pretty much augment your ability cards or add to them in different ways. And the neat thing about these skill cards is that they are double-sided, so whenever you do play one, you actually flip it to the other side, which is going to give other possibilities to you as the player, and you might have reason to want to flip them or not want to flip them, depending on what your plan is for the next turn. These skill cards do also have some other uses as well, because there are some reaction skill cards that allow you to react to different events or to enemies attacking you on their turn. Of course, in a rich, diverse world, there's lots of other things you'll be able to discover, and there's a whole variety of items that you'll be able to find and equip throughout the game. These, of course, can allow you to deal additional damage, heal yourself, help yourself in different ways, or even support your team. But after all the players have had their turn, it's going to be moving into the enemies phase, where each of them have a variety of different actions that they can perform. And the way that you determine this is simply by drawing a chip from a bag, and then depending on the value of that chip, it's going to determine which of the actions is going to be activated for that enemy. A really neat aspect of this game that I think will add a ton of fun into it is that there's also something known as the elemental track. And this track can change depending on the actions of the players and the enemies, but depending on which elements are active in that track or which elements are dominant, it can actually increase the power of certain attacks or even possibly nullify different attacks. So timing your abilities with what's on the elemental track, or even trying to modify that track to set up for a certain combo, is something that the players are able to do, and I think that creates a lot of opportunities for feeling really clever and feeling rewarded for proper planning. So if this one does sound interesting to you, you can go ahead and check it out, and I'll have it linked in the description down below.